After losing the First World War, Germany is trying to recover politically and economically. However, Germany's culture is liberal and thriving. Its artistic, musical, and cinematic productions are world renowned. During this time, a small Christian group, known locally as Bible students, but now called Jehovah's Witnesses, proclaim their biblical message publicly from house to house and hold large showings of the photodrama of creation. Though present in the country since 1897, they numbered only about 14,000 by 1932, very small compared to the Catholic and Protestant religions in Germany. Very quickly, however, their right to adhere to their beliefs, the right to freedom of conscience, would be challenged. The right to freedom of conscience. Nazi Germany. Conscience, the part of the mind that makes you aware of your actions as being either morally right or wrong. With the appointment of Adolf Hitler as Chancellor in 1933, the National Socialist Party soon has a strong grip on German citizens. High officials, the working class, and churches alike all support Hitler's agenda. Young ones too are swept along by the excitement and fervor. To Jehovah's Witnesses, however, the foundations of Nazism, including war and nationalism, were unscriptural, and supporting them would violate a witness's Bible-trained conscience. These beliefs were explained and instilled in the hearts of even little ones, such as Simone Arnold, Rudolf Gracian, and Paul Gerhard Kusserl. Hitler did not care about the people's right to freedom of conscience. He wanted nothing less than 100% obedience. In a classroom in northeastern Germany, however, there was always one boy less than 100%.
But then he added, but here's what I wish you to do tomorrow. Going, marching through our little town, let everybody see that we are all good German Nazi boys. In order to do that, I wish that every one of you will come tomorrow morning with their uniform, Nazi uniform, put on. So next morning, all the boys showed up in class with a uniform, except me. I had a little bluish-gray sweater. When he got angry, that was the only thing left, and he said to the boys, "Boo him out." And that's what they did. And then he started to threaten and said, either you put the uniform on, or you stay here, or we are not going to take you on the outing. And so I said, okay, I'm going to stay here. And he had to take me along if he liked it or not. But he was kind of ashamed, because he tried to hide me among all the rest of the little boys.
As World War II rages, Hitler steps up the assault against freedom of conscience. There are now orders to separate children from their witness parents. In the spring of 1939, Paul Kusserl and two other siblings are taken from home and school in Bad Lippspring, Germany, and sent to an orphanage 113 miles away in Dorsten, and then to a Nazi Reformation school in Nettelstadt.
At that time, I was ill and didn't go to school. I was lying in bed here.
Plötzlich kam ein Auto vorgefahren, Zivilisten, ich konnte das.
Suddenly a car drove up. There seemed to be two civilians in it. I could see them from the window.
Kam forsch hier rein und haben uns dann, ich musste aus dem Bett aufstehen, anziehen.
They burst in and wanted me to go with them. They hesitated because I was ill, and for appearance's sake took me to a doctor to see if I could be taken away.
Ich musste dann mitfahren zum Arzt, rein pro forma, ob ich
Then they collected my sister and brother from school, and we left.
Meine Schwestern, mussten wir
In the morning, he again told us to give the Hitler salute. And when we refused, he took us into a room, laid us across the table, and beat us black and blue. It was bad.
Jeden Abend haben wir geduscht. Das heißt, die Heimleitung.
We took a shower every evening, and when the female head of the house saw us, she made us bathe separately so that the other children would not see. It was very bad.
In total, more than 800 children were taken to Nazi Reformation schools. Men who objected to military service based on conscience were executed. Paul's next oldest brother, Wolfgang, was beheaded. He was only 20 years old. About 71% of Jehovah's Witnesses living in Germany were placed in Nazi concentration and labor camps. The purpose was not to exterminate them, as most living in Germany were ethnically Aryan. With brutal and relentless treatment, Hitler sought to beat, starve, and torture the witnesses into full allegiance to the Nazi Party.
And the commander came, held up his hand and said, "Whoever will not sew these bags for our soldiers, step aside." He had hardly finished speaking when the whole column stepped aside. Through it all, we quoted Bible texts to each other until we grew so weak that we just lay on the floor. No straw, no blankets. And then Himmler came to take a look at his victims. "You're having a bad time, but we are fine. Can't you see yet your God has abandoned you? We could do whatever we want to." And then we answered him, "The God whom we are serving can save us, and even if he doesn't, we will still not serve you." Then the door was closed and he personally introduced beating as a punishment.
August Dickmann had refused to perform military service, and Baranowski, the commander who asked Himmler to confirm the death sentence. That came through, and the prisoners built a huge wall for the bullets. The whole camp was assembled. I can clearly remember one sentence, when he said, "The prisoner August Dickmann does not regard himself a citizen of the German Reich, but rather a citizen of the kingdom of God." Suddenly, a member of the SS came from between the barracks with August Dickmann and led him to the wall.
August was standing at the front, and we about 300 brothers, were standing at the most 8 or 10 paces away from him.
He had to stand with his face to the wall, and there were 7 members of the SS. An officer with the rank of Sturmbannführer, that is with 4 stars, gave the order to shoot. When the shots were fired, he fell straight to the ground, and the SS officer drew his pistol and gave him the coup de grâce, as was the custom.
In 1946, as a result of the experience of the Second World War, including the utter disregard of human rights, world leaders decided to create a roadmap to guarantee the rights of every individual everywhere. This roadmap later became known as the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Article 18 guarantees the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. Though few compared to the millions exterminated by the Nazis, nearly 2,000 Jehovah's Witnesses died in the Holocaust. When the war was over, there were about 11,000 Jehovah's Witnesses left living in Germany. 10 years later, in 1956, that number had grown to over 50,000. There are now over 164,000 witnesses in Germany, still exercising their right to freedom of conscience, remembering their predecessors who helped to gain that right.